What's going on, everyone? Welcome into Week 11 final read right here on Forward Progress, presented by FanDuel. This is our Thursday Best Bet show, where we're going to hit every game on the board using the hammer system: triple hammer for 3 units, double for 2, single hammer for 1. The goal is simple. First and foremost, let's beat the Tuesday team. Secondly, hopefully we can make you some money. Quick reminder, it's Thursday. Limits are up. Market's pretty sharp. A lot of the info is baked in. Again, say it every week. It's not an excuse for results, but it's context for you as a viewer or a listener, just so that you know that the edges are probably a little bit smaller than earlier in the week. But cards are loaded. Hammers are ready. Joining me today, we got Austin Mock from The Athletic. We got Suuma in Germany. And guys, I know there's been some weeks that have been struggles in the past, but combined, could not get better than what we did last week. 9-0, every pick hit. I want to say there were some very questionable ones in here. Atlanta plus 6.5. That was an extreme sweat over in Germany in the morning. Suuma, Houston money line. What a comeback that was for you as well. Ultimately, though, can't argue with the results. Perfect 9-0. Season record as a group is 51-39. If you tailed every pick using 3 units, 2 units, or 1 unit, the ROI this season is 6.3%. So hopefully you have been tailing, as it's been a good year. And guys, Suuma, you mentioned it before the show. If we're thinking in football narratives, we got to avoid the letdown spot. This is like the Miami Dolphins spot, right? They just won their Super Bowl. We just won our Super Bowl last week, and we might as well start it off with the Dolphins and the Commanders. This one at the Bernabeu in Madrid, Spain, and it's been one-way Dolphins money this week. Kind of not surprising when you consider the injury report for Washington and also the results of last week's games. But as it stands right now, Dolphins minus 2.5, minus 0.8 at FanDuel. Total in the game, 47.5. We'll lead it off with you here, Suuma. What are you seeing between the Dolphins and the Commanders?
I think you are in rough shape when you have to sign Robbie Chosen to the active roster on like Tuesday or whatever it was. So, I mean, Commanders, I think that the only bright spot has been Marcus Mariota, and I feel very bad for him because he's like doing everything he can, but that defense has been a bottom 3 unit over the past 4 weeks. They are losing bodies left and right. Wide receiving group. I mean, Deebo Samuel, his yard per route. No, sorry, his average yards after the catch went from like 12 in 2019 when he was in his prime to 5 point something this season. So that guy's cooked. I mean, Chris Moore, Robbie Chosen, really rough. And it's going against a Miami defense. Going into the season, we thought this is the worst cornerback depth chart in the league, but they have a strong defensive line, solid linebacking group, so maybe they can land, I don't know, somewhere below average. They were atrocious to start the season, but they have been coming along, in my opinion. And especially their defensive line has been playing much better. John Brooks is on a heater right now. And I think that might just be enough on that side to stop the one, contain the one, and to not let these Robbie Chosens and Chris Moores and Ben Sinnett's, if he plays, create big plays. So I'm leading Miami. I like Miami here. Also, I think they are doing some nice things in the run game recently. I think that the owner is blocking better. Like these various personal groupings have been working much better. And going against that version of the Commanders defense, I think they will also move the ball here. So I like Miami.
I was thinking about the over in this game. FanDuel's got a pretty good price on the over at 47.5, 04. I can't get over the Commanders' receiving room, man. That's the real problem here right now. But I do think that there's a potential game state here where Miami does move the ball rather effectively, especially through Devon Achane in the receiving game. Like you look at Washington this year, they've just been killed by good receiving backs. They give up 10.7 yards per completion to running backs, third worst in the entire league. And that's like tailor-made for what Miami wants to do with Achane in space. Plus you got Washington with all of the secondary injuries having to play a lot more too high and give up stuff underneath. I think that really works into what the Dolphins want to do. Then it's just a matter of, can the Commanders in like a trailing game state move it on the Dolphins defense? I'd like to say yes, I think they can, but the receivers are where my hesitation is, Austin. So ultimately I didn't do anything here, but I feel like Dolphins in the over is probably the way to look.
Yeah, I would agree with there. I'm pretty neutral on it. When you have the injuries go so far on one side, it's like how you run into these issues of can they move the ball? Like if guys are never open, then it doesn't matter how good your scheme is and everything. You just don't have the playmakers to move the ball. So it's hard for me. Like I echo pretty much everything you say. Like it's hard to get behind it because of the injuries with those receivers. But then they also have the injuries in the secondary. So maybe I'm talking myself into more of leaning towards Miami here. Letdown spot. I don't know how much I'm putting stock into that, but Mike McDaniel went from being like on the short list of possibly being fired to like back in good graces, and I don't know if that's a little bit of a maybe he's better than we're giving him credit for, but yeah, I lean a little bit, maybe we're more towards Miami in this one because of the issues with Washington's wide receiver core.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel was driving by Bill's bars at the end of game last week. Yeah, just waving at everyone on the way by. Incredible turnaround. Chosen says Dolphins just won their Super Bowl, though. So, like, one thing I do when I make my number for every game is I try to account for all of these spots. And with that, I just test using historical data. So, like, trying to come up with a definition of what the Super Bowl would be, maybe post week 9 or something like that, where you're a big divisional dog. I think that would constitute. And if you do look at a lot of these matchups over the course of the last decade, there really hasn't been like a negative impact on the point spread afterwards from that. So I think that this is something that maybe is, I would say, maybe overused nowadays. That type of spot could be wrong. Washington could cover. I'm just giving my perspective on the entire situation. Suuma, before we move on here, did you want to lock this one in? Because I know you said you like Miami.
Yes, I forgot to mention it. It's going to be my double hammer. Also, FanDuel best price on the board, I think, on Miami.
All right, perfect. Now, we're going to move on to all the early games and late games in just a second, but FanDuel is making week 11 even bigger for you with a chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets. They do this on Thursday nights, right? $2 million. It's really simple. Here's how it works. You just opt in. You place an anytime touchdown bet on Patriots Jets using your profit boost. Then if the player you pick scores either the first or the last touchdown of the game, you earn a share of $2 million in bonus bets, $1 million for each touchdown. It's just one more reason to bet on the NFL with FanDuel. Whether you've got a feeling about the opening drive or you're banking on a clutch finish, now is the time to get in the game. Visit FanDuel.com/forwardprogress to download the app today and get started. It's really a great promotion that they run every single week, so make sure you check it out. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. You must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 19 plus, physically located in Ontario. 18 plus in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Must apply profit boost token on select market. Prize pool split equally amongst all eligible participants who made the correct first or last touchdown TD pick. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE NY in New York. And you can call Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 or visit connectsontario.ca. All right. Chicago at Minnesota up next. We'll go through all the early window here. This one's been pretty interesting because there was some Vikings money showing earlier in the week. We saw a little bit of buyback on the Bears today. And as it stands right now, Vikings -2.5, -115 is our number in market. Total in the game, 47.5. Juice towards the over at -120. We don't know yet on the status of JJ McCarthy. They've been very secretive about his hand, which hit a throwing helmet last week. Yesterday, when he talked to the media after the game, he had his hands in his pocket for the entire time, so no one could really see what was going on. It was wrapped in practice. That's the main concern right now for Minnesota, as is Jonathan Greenard on defense. For Chicago, defense been pretty beat up for a while now, and it continues to trend that way. It doesn't look like TJ Edwards is going to be back here as well. I'll start with you here, Austin. Vikings, Bears. I've been looking for a fade spot for the Bears for a while. I mean, this team is in my opinion, smoke and mirrors. They've generated the most EPA from turnovers on defense of any team in the league this season. I ultimately wanted to get here. I just don't know that I can with the McCarthy stuff. I don't know what you're thinking on this one.
Yeah, it's a painful one, but I do like Minnesota here. Even McCarthy's been like my projections aren't even sitting here and saying that he's good, right? The numbers have not been great, but when you look at Chicago's defense, you look at the injuries, and you look at what they've done, like they're putting up bad numbers with those EPAs, the EPA off the turnovers that you just mentioned. Like that's the concerning part here. Is I think that they'll be able to scheme up. We saw JJ McCarthy look his best against the Bears. I know it was only in one quarter, but when they kind of opened it up, he found some success there. So I like my Minnesota here. I'm taking them -2.5, -115 on the hammer, or triple hammer. As I just can't get behind this Bears defense. It's slowly for me going down towards the bottom of the league, like really into a scary territory. I guess there's a big data point here that if Minnesota does not move the ball, then you can probably be lower on JJ McCarthy than you already are. But I think they're going to be able to find some areas success running the ball. I think that's going to open up some of the pass game, give McCarthy some options there. So I do like the Vikings. It's terrifying, but I'm in the same boat. I've been trying to fade the Bears, and the Bears on the offense, they're generating explosives. They're not good down to down. It's like the third week in a row that I've said this. Brian Flores scheming it up. I don't know if I like Caleb going up against Brian Flores and all the different looks that he's going to see this week. So triple hammer on the Vikings, -2.5, -115.
Yeah, I recall looking before the show as well at the recent Chicago schedule on top of things, and it's been a run of pretty bad pass defenses for Caleb Williams. Like it's been ugly as well. So this is a pretty big step up in class, especially with this defensive coordinator. So triple hammer for Austin. And Suuma, you're coming flying out of the gate as well. 2 picks in 2 games. You like the Vikings as well.
Yes, Austin Suuma consensus, triple hammer on Minnesota. I like these spots where you have like 2 teams coming from completely opposite ends in terms of strength of schedule. JJ McCarthy, I think he had 4 starts this season. Correct me if I'm wrong. First game at Chicago, his first ever start on the road where the Bears defense was much healthier. Then we had, I think, at Detroit. I don't remember what the second week was, but then last week against a much better Ravens defense. So he faced like 4 really tough opponents / spots. And now he's getting the Bears defense that is decimated at the D-line. It's not getting much healthier on the back end. They have been really bad. I think this is really this might be the get right game for the Vikings offense, where McCarthy finally looks like an NFL quarterback, in my opinion. And then on the other side, you alluded to it. When you look at the Bears schedule, I mean, not even teams overall, but also the defenses. I mean, Cowboys, Bengals, Commanders, Giants, Saints, Raiders. And they beat the Raiders and Giants and Commanders in like really, really last minute fashion. So I think this has been all aided by a super easy schedule. I don't trust Caleb Williams at all. Yes, Ben Johnson's doing some great stuff with his offensive line in the one game. Caleb has looked better against the Giants, but they scored 10 points with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And yes, there were some drops, but also some blatant misses by Caleb Williams. And now against this Brian Flores defense, we say this every week, and the Vikings defense has not been that good this season. But I think this might be a spot where Williams gets exposed.
All right, we got 2 triple hammers this week on the Minnesota Vikings, -2.5, -115. And Giovanni in the chat points out that it was home to Atlanta week 2 for JJ.
Also good passing defense.
Yeah. And at that time, they were fully healthy. They hadn't lost Diablo yet. Nothing of concern.
And the Vikings didn't have Darrison Addison for first 2. So
yeah,
that's this is the 3rd game where the offense has been healthy as well. So,
yep. I considered this one as well. I don't like seeing hand injuries for quarterbacks throwing hand. That was my only hesitation, but I'm with you guys on the Vikings as well. All right, keeping it moving. We got the Packers and the Giants up next. The Giants, midweek coaching change for them. Brian Daboll is out. He finished 20-40-1 with the New York Giants. I know they had that magical playoff run, but aside from that, pretty ugly for them. They're getting 7 at home to the Green Bay Packers. Total in the game is 42.5. We don't know for sure who's starting at quarterback yet for the Giants, but it looks like we're trending towards Jameis Winston, as Jackson Dart is likely to miss with a concussion. That's kind of what we're waiting on here right now. I feel like this is a pretty sound spot, in my opinion, for Green Bay to get back on track offensively. When you consider that they've leaned pretty heavily into the run, the Giants are struggling in run defense. They're still very, very beat up in the front 7. I don't know, Austin, that this is necessarily the number I want to play it at. I know there's going to be talk about a coaching bump for the Giants, whether Jameis is like an upgrade over Russ, which maybe he is, but he kills you with EPA in turnovers as well. So it's a really tough one for me. I know you have some thoughts here on the total, though.
Yeah, this was going to be, it's funny how this kind of works out, but it was going to be an under for me if Russell Wilson was going to start with the earlier number. And now I think this number has kind of gone too far, and we're getting like the Russell Wilson. I fully expect it to be Jameis Winston. So I am going over here, 42.5 minus 115 for my double hammer. So I think, Rob, you alluded to with the run game, Green Bay, like everybody was on the floor, like, hey, he runs the ball too much. And like, it's kind of their, like, I'm not going to sit here and say you want Jordan Love dropping back every single down. And that's not really LaFleur's identity. But when you are able to have a consistent run game, like that makes life so much easier for Jordan Love. And, you know, they lost Tucker Kraft. They're still trying to kind of navigate through that from a weapon standpoint through in the passing game. So with them being able to run the ball, the Giants haven't been able to stop the run all year. They have a very poor run defense. So I think Green Bay is going to get some success there, which is going to help both sides. And then the other side, Jameis, he's just an over quarterback. Like I guess you have to hope that the turnovers happen before he gets to the red zone, but he's not afraid to push the ball downfield. He's not afraid to throw any throw ever. He is fine with handing the ball off to a pass rusher in the backfield as well. So just have this game closer to 44 with this matchup with Jameis. It was just funny him and Russ are just two ends of the spectrum. Definitely when you talk about the matchup that the pass rush of the Packers. So yeah, going over here for my double hammer. I think both teams can at least you're not going to have one team terrified to move the ball. You're going to have two teams actually trying to move the ball. So I like the over.
Suuma, I'll give you the last word on this game. Looks like Matthew Golden trending towards playing in this one as well.
Yeah, lean Packers. I mean, we are talking about Jameis against Russell Wilson, but can we also talk about Jameis versus Jackson Dart? Because I think that's a massive downgrade. Jackson Dart, he opens up the run game. He is like, I don't know, above average in terms of EPA per play, success rate this season. Also think about the plays that they left on the field because wide receivers were dropping the balls. I remember the Philly game, for example. Last season, Jameis Winston, they lost 5 of 7 games, and all 5 by 9+. And even on that run that we all found entertaining, and which it was, he averaged like minus 0.04 EPA per play and a 43.2% success rate, both ranked among 30th in the league out of 42 qualifying quarterbacks. So he was not good in a situation with David Njoku and Jerry Jeudy. And this week, I don't even know what the wide receiving group is going to look like. Gunnar Olszewski was his wide receiver 2 last week after Darius Slayton went out. So we might only see them in like 12 personnel all game against this Packers defense. I'm just struggling to see how they can consistently move the ball and avoid turnovers in this one.
I don't know about avoiding turnovers. It might get a little bit chaotic if the Packers are up a bunch. And to me, I mean, the Packers offense was brutal against the Eagles. Eagles played a lot of 2 high. The Giants play a ton of man, and they play a lot of 1 high. They don't have good corners. Green Bay will take shots one-on-one, and they've been actually one of the best teams in the league versus like these 1 high structures as well. I really think Green Bay is going to score in this game is what it comes down to. I think that Monday Night Football game was more of an aberration because the Eagles defense is actually quite good at this point in time. Moving along here, we got the NFC South, and it is the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta loses in overtime last week in Germany. They opt not to take the bye, so they're returning home right away. Carolina, 2 weeks removed from a win at Lambeau Field, loses outright at home to the New Orleans Saints. Pretty low point for the Carolina Panthers season. As it stands now, the Panthers drew some early money when a lot of the market was at 4. We're sitting at 3.5 at FanDuel right now with Atlanta favored at home. Total in the game is 42.5, and this one is juiced towards the under. I'll lead it off here, guys, and I'll give out my first hammer play, which is going to be a single hammer here. I liked Carolina earlier in the week, but with where the market's sitting now, I think the better angle in this game is currently the under. Neither offense really built to generate explosives. And I think that this matchup really pushes both these teams into like run heavy, lower variance scripts. Carolina's pretty healthy, healthier than they've been in a while, but the passing offense is just not there for them. They just can't create anything outside of Ted McMillan, nothing in space. Atlanta's defense, they're playing a ton of man. They're top 10 in open percentage allowed. So they're very good in coverage. Carolina's going to have to really lean on running the ball, and that's where their advantage might be. So I think you get a heavy game script here of Carolina trying to pound the rock in this game. The flip side, I think it's the exact same handicap on Atlanta. Their passing offense is bottom tier, in my opinion. Without forcing it to Drake London, they don't have anything. And Carolina's pass defense is legitimately good. I mean, their EPA is solid. Their top 10 success rate. They've been very strong against explosives. They play heavy too high, which Penix has struggled against this year. So you get two offenses that both want to run. They both match up poorly throwing the ball. Neither profiles as explosive. I like the under in this game, Suuma. So I'm going to use that as my single hammer play, under 42.5, minus 114 here. What say you on Panthers Falcons, Suuma?
Also like the under. Also like the Carolina. Just hard to get to the Falcons winning by margin at this point. I think we saw it all season. They can only move the ball if they get their run game going with Bijan, and if Drake London gets 7, 8, 9 targets. And I think the Panthers, when you look at their run defense, they were struggling kind of a bit in recent weeks, but they still kind of do defend the run well. And they also have a cornerback that you can match up with Drake London. So, and I think Michael Penix is like really, really bad. So I'm just not seeing the Falcons offense as a unit right now that just can go out there and move the ball against an average or below average defense. And on the other side, you mentioned it, I can also see another really run-heavy game plan from the Panthers. Mm-hmm. It's exactly the kind of mismatch that the Colts had last week. Panthers are not on the same level, but the Falcons are facing over 40% of like man duo concepts in the run game because they cannot defend that. And the Panthers are also running that at a very high clip, and they're pretty good at it. So I think this is going to be a low-scoring, slow game where the Panthers might be able to control the line of scrimmage. And yeah, 3.5 points is half a point too many for me. So I'm going with the Panthers.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the last time that Penix went up against this Panthers defense, he didn't score in that game earlier this year, which was a kind of a fluky 30-0 win. It wasn't really a little bit of a misleading box score, but the Falcons offense couldn't do anything in that game, Austin.
0 red zone trips, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the issues. Like, I don't know what, like, we're not talking enough because I know Carolina is still not great, but the defensive turnaround. I know that they had a bunch of injuries last year, but Carolina's been, the schedule is not incredibly difficult either, but they have really turned it around. And that's kind of the difference for me in this game is I have some faith in both stopping the run and stopping the pass for the Panthers. So this will be my single hammer plus 3.5 on the Panthers. The big thing that I like, I think, Rob, you kind of said it last week with the Panthers-Saints matchup, was the Saints generate a lot of negative plays. And if you're going to get behind the sticks with Bryce Young, that's not a spot you want to be in. And I don't know if the Falcons are the team that's going to be able to do that. So if you're going to tell me that Bryce Young's going to be consistently not in passing downs on late downs, third and longs and that. I think that really bodes well for Carolina. And I'm not saying they're going to score a ton of points here. I lean your guys' way as well with the under. But when you're going to give me a significant run advantage for a quarterback like Bryce Young, who it's kind of similar to what I was saying about Jordan Love, when that's such an obvious matchup advantage, it just makes everything so much easier for the passing offense. So this game lands 3. I would say probably more often than your regular NFL distribution. So 3.5 for me is a play here. And I'm not a huge Penix fan as it stands right now, and I think the Panthers can stop the pass and the run. So go Fighting Eagles.
There we go. Austin has used up all his hammers in the early going here. 3 hammers in 4 games. Yeah, there we go. Came out firing today, but he's going with the Carolina Panthers there. Before we get to our next game, 421 watching right now. If you're watching on X, totally fine to watch on X. If you want to be part of the conversation, though, you can hop on over to YouTube. We got the live chat going in real time. People sharing their opinions on games. So if you want to talk it through, come on over to YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube right now, take 2 seconds, smash that like button. If it's your first time here and you enjoy what you see, subscribe to the channel as well. Turn on those notifications as we got lots of content here on Forward Progress. Still in the early window, it's the Jags hosting the Chargers. Both these teams dealing with some significant injuries. Obviously on the Chargers, it's the offensive line with Joe Alt now being done for the season. Wasn't a huge problem for them against Pittsburgh. I'll get into that in a second, though, as it kind of was in a way. But with Jacksonville, offensive weapons are pretty depleted. They're hoping to get Brian Thomas Jr. back in the mix as well. And it was all early Chargers money. We sit at -3, -105 at FanDuel. Totals 43.5, over -115. At this price, guys, I mean, it pains me to say it. Suuma, I think it's Jags or nothing in this game. I just don't know that I can necessarily get there unless we see some big improvement on the offensive injuries for them.
I don't like the Jags right now. I mean, defense is bad. Run game has not been working since, I think, week 4. Passing game is severely limited. Brian Thomas, he was limited yesterday.
Yeah.
They called it a high ankle 2 weeks ago, but I'm not sure it was a full high ankle, but also not sure whether he's going to play this week. And I think this game will come down to the question whether the Jaguars can run the ball on this Chargers defense.
Yeah.
If they cannot run the ball, I mean, this could be a matchup where they struggle to get to 14 points because the Chargers defense is mostly healthy. They have been better against the run. They also got their, that Jesse Minter pass defense mojo back. It's extremely tough to move the ball through the air on this defense right now. And if the Jags cannot run the ball, I think they will really be struggling all game long. So this is my biggest question. Gun to my head. Someone in the comments said that I have to stop saying gun to my head because I might be dead every week or something. Any comment? But gun to my head. Chargers or nothing for me personally.
Yeah, I'm just the opposite here. I don't know that I'll get involved. I mean, I look at last week. So first of all, the run matchup is crucial for the Jags. They need to be able to run the ball in this game. The Chargers' run defense is better than it looks on paper. They got Denzel Perryman back a few weeks back, and I think that matters for them a lot in stopping the run. I look at Justin Herbert last week against the Steelers. He had the 3rd fastest time to throw of his entire career. 39% of his passes were behind the line of scrimmage. 81% of their passing yards came after the catch against the Steelers. And we have a pretty large sample, Austin, this year of no Joe Alt, no Rashawn Slater, and what that O-line looks like. And I don't know that they can buy him enough time for at least, I mean, they got to win by 4 to cover the spread here. That's where I'm coming in on the Jags, at least as a lean. I'm curious your thoughts.
Yeah, my numbers lean slightly towards the Jags as well. It's just kind of what Suuma was saying, though. It's like everything has been so bad. But I've been against them all year when people were talking about their defense after, the Chiefs win and everything. And I think we might be, I don't know if we're hitting a low point in the market, but I do wonder if this is a rich price for a team that the Chargers, who will struggle to move the ball just because they haven't been able to move the ball without Joe out on the field all year. The interesting matchup on the other side of the ball is kind of similar to last week. I was on the Chargers last week. Lawrence is a little bit better against the blitz this year when he can kind of know where the picture is. The Chargers do not blitz, and they can still generate some pressure. I don't love that matchup for the Jaguars. Minter likes to keep everything in front. He wants you to methodically drive down the field. So I don't love that matchup either. Long-winded way of saying I don't really have anything in this game. But I see both sides. If the Jags do run it, though, I think they're probably, if they find success running the ball, they're probably the side to be on.
All right, split opinions on that one. We'll keep it in the AFC and go to the AFC North, where the Bengals are coming off a bye week and they travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Of note, there's going to be some weather impact for this game. As it stands right now, we're looking at 15 to 20 miles an hour of sustained winds, gusts up to 30 miles an hour. That'll impact longer throws and some kicks as well. As it stands in market, the Steelers are 5.5-point favorite. Total in the game, 49.5, juice towards the under at FanDuel. Trey Hendrickson not going to play in this one. In my opinion, the most significant injury impact of the entire game. But you also look at the Steelers defense, and they're dealing with some stuff on the back end as well, especially with Darius Slay, going to miss with a concussion. But as it stands right now, guys, I mean, I'll go to you here first, Austin. I don't have a strong opinion on this game. I wanted to make a case for Pittsburgh, but the early injury reports were rough enough that I'm okay staying off of this. I just don't think people truly realize how terrible the Bengals defense is and how anyone can move it on them. That's sort of how I feel about this game, but now the wind adds another dynamic.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat looking for the Steelers, but the injury, the secondary got absolutely ruined last week against the Chargers. So yeah, I depending on the weather too, that's another thing you have to worry about here with both teams. You think you're going to be able to move the ball. Which team? Rodgers likes to get the ball out quick in this Steelers offense. Does that benefit him a little bit more with the matchup against the Bengals defense? Joe Flacco, though, again, the last time these teams played, got the ball out insanely quick as well. So we'll see what happens there. I think there will be some adjustments from Pittsburgh side, but yeah, with the injury reports looking the way they are and the weather uncertainty, not much for me to do here. But I did early in the week, I did look at this as like maybe a spot to somehow lay the points with the Steelers.
Yeah, Insight in the chat talked about Pittsburgh being a quick short throw team. Bengals are 32nd against short throws this year. Also, I mean, Pittsburgh's running game has been pretty solid for the most part. They're especially efficient on these outside zone runs where they can get outside the tackles as well. And Cincinnati is brutal at defending those. So especially giving up a lot of explosive runs. So I don't know. I know the Steelers look really bad against the Chargers. They do tend to have those games. I just think the quality of the opponent here, Steelers are nothing for me. Suuma, not sure what your thoughts are.
No, really any opinion. We can move on.
Love to hear that. I mean, I didn't really want to talk too long about this game. We're going to have some split opinions on the next one. We got the Bucs traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Market as it stands right now, Bills -5.5, -110. Total 47.5, -110. Another game where you can expect some inclement weather. This is actually projecting to be potentially the worst of the entire week. Similar wind to what I talked about in Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, but also potential of some heavy rain or snow throughout this game as well, which has an impact. I know, Suuma, we talked about this off air, and we don't see eye to eye on this. That's totally fine. I'll let you start by making the case for the Bucs.
Yeah, I think that when you combine or include the weather, I think the Bills will not be able to run the ball on this Bucs defense. I have the Bucs defense rated pretty high, I think, because of some opponent adjustments, because they faced a few good quarterbacks in general. But the Bucs have a really long history now of being able to stop the opposing run game. And I mean, yes, last week, I think the Patriots had like 94% of all their yards on like 3 runs and had like, I don't know, 7-8 yards on the other 20 runs or something. So no Dalton Kincaid. And I think that among the current playoff picture, the Bills without Kincaid probably have the worst pass catching group, I would argue. So I think they will not be able to run the ball. And then it's going to be Josh Allen throwing to these pass catchers, maybe impacted by wind and weather. I'm just thinking that the Bucs defense has a really solid matchup in this one. And then on the other side, Baker, 0 scrambles last 3 games. I think he's very obviously injured, but I like their matchup to get their run game going again, or just a little bit going, because the Bills defense, they are really decimated up front. I think they are 3rd worst in giving up explosive runs on the season. Only the Bengals and I think the Giants have been worse in that department. And I think that the Bucs really have the O-line to get their run game going a little bit here. Bucky Irving, I'm not expecting him to be back. Would be a nice bonus, because the last Buccaneers 20+ yard one was Baker Mayfield in week 3. So they really need some more explosive elements, but I think that they will be able to run the ball better here. And if I combine everything, I'm just struggling to get to 5.5 here. So making the Bucs my single hammer.
Yeah, people in the chat notifying us of Bucky Irving. Chris Godwin's practicing as well. I think even if they're back in, they're probably phased into the offense, and it's not like a full workload right away regardless. Good points. I will say that with the win situation in this game, I think it kind of forces both teams to play tighter to the line of scrimmage regardless, and that will help Buffalo. They tend to play a lot of too high and invite the run in a lot of instances. They kind of get trampled sometimes just because they invite the run. What I will say is this. I think the Baker Mayfield decline is definitely related to injury, and I just don't think it is being valued enough in market right now. You know, scrambling was such a big part of his game. The lack of mobility completely strips away all the off-script playmaking that was, you know, really helping them early on in the year to overcome a lot of their deficiencies. You combine that with a Bills defense that creates pressure without blitzing, probably gets AJ Epinesa back this week. I just don't like this iteration of Tampa Bay's offense right now. And it's some good points in that the Buffalo offense hasn't looked great either. But these types of win games, we've actually seen Josh Allen be able to sling it in these conditions before, even though it's windy because his arm is so strong. I get that there's some run concept matchup advantages for Tampa Bay, but ultimately, I think they're being valued based off of some numbers that include Baker's performances from early in the year that I just don't think are applicable here. So me and Suuma disagree. Austin, I'll let you play tiebreaker on this one.
Yeah, I'm pretty neutral, so we'll just be at a stalemate. But I think Rob's point is fair. And then when you add in the weather, like I don't know, you know, we don't get the miles per hour on Baker's throws and whatnot, but the accuracy has been affected, I think, by the throws. I remember I'm still hurt by a few of them against Detroit. But if he's not fully healthy, and you're going to say the elements are going to impact things, like how much does that factor in? Like, hey, you have to grip the ball a little bit harder. You have to, you know, rotate a little bit more. So that's something for me to watch. So I would probably, if I had to, I guess, lean Buffalo, because I think, Rob, you're probably correct that the numbers are probably overrating Baker, and definitely when you factor in the weather in this game. So yeah, we'll go stalemate for now and see what the weather ends up like.
All right. What a cop-out answer that was, by the way. Like, pick a side, man. Pick a side. We'll end the early window with AFC South. It's the Titans off the bye week taking on the Houston Texans. I didn't see if there was official confirmation yet. I might have missed an alert or something while I was prepping for the show, but it does look like Davis Mills is going to start this game if it hasn't been announced already. CJ Stroud still with concussion symptoms. He might even miss next week because it's a Thursday game against the Bills as well. Obviously a downgrade, I think, kind of getting priced into market right now. Titus Howard trending towards a return off a concussion, though. Maybe Ed Ingram back as well on the Houston O-line. For Tennessee, very big news today in Jeffrey Simmons back and practicing. Calvin Ridley and Arden Key also practicing as well. It's been a stream of Titans money this week. Texans now sitting -5.5, -120 at FanDuel. Total all the way down to 37.5. You know, guys, I'll be completely honest. I bet a very, very small amount of Titans this week, and then just couldn't will myself to bet anymore because I just keep thinking about this team, and they stink. And the covers that they've had this year, like the Chargers game, the Cardinals game, these are absolute flukes. And unless they figured something out in the bye week, I mean, they have a minus 127 point differential. That is the worst for a franchise through 9 games since 1984. I might look older than my age, but I wasn't even born in 1984. That's how bad it's been, Austin. So I think this is a tough one. And honestly, the way that this is trending, I might even look for a middle on this game at some point if we get more Titans money and just hope this thing lands 7.
Yeah, I don't know. The broken models, Tennessee with, I don't know, Suuma, you always have the against the spread record. I don't know if you have it handy for you, but it's like 4-22 or something like that. And for this, just there's not something absurd like that. And those are numbers that I just like. It's hard for me to back here. I do think this is too many points, so I lean that way. But I also want to look at the under because they can't score. Maybe there's a little bit of Cam Ward off a bye kind of resets, but they've had a coaching change. So I'm not even going to sit here and say that how much of a reset is there going to be? They've already kind of had one. So I don't know. I don't really want to get involved here. So that's maybe I'm copping out for the second answer in a row here, but I guess I do lean Tennessee here, but I'm going to just ignore that game for now.
Yeah, it's just so hard to see the paths for the Titans offense being able to score. And maybe Calvin Ridley gives the offense something if he's back, but the wide receiving core isn't deep. Cam Ward takes so many sacks, and this is a defensive line that will punish a quarterback that holds the ball too long. And that's where I kind of just struggle with this one at this point. I almost feel like the value is flipping towards Houston at this point, Suuma.
Yeah, I mean, they got shut out in the first matchup, and I don't see major reasons for me to believe that they will score many more points. For the over to hit, I mean, you're probably looking for 14 plus points from the Titans, and I'm really struggling to see that. So I would not be surprised if the game plays out like the first one, where the Titans really struggle to score, maybe some garbage time drives where Cam Ward shows G-Stack a little something late. But other than that, I mean, also I don't think that the Texans offense will score easily. Simmons back, you said it. Also, Texans might be leaning more towards the run here. Titans have also not been great at defending the run, so this might be a game where the Texans really lean on their run game and their defense and just want to bring it home. But leaning under.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they say the Masters comes around in golf every year, and the slogan is a tradition unlike any other. I think we got to apply that to G-Stack George now, watching Cam Ward play these fourth quarters and just getting excited for the next game. A tradition unlike any other at Forward Progress here. G-Stack watching Cam Ward in garbage time. All right, we're going to get to the late window in a second here. A reminder, a lot of people ask, and with football and basketball kind of in full swing right now, there's one odd screen that I stand by. I'm very biased because I helped build it, but it's the BetStamp Pro prop screen. And listen, this is built for high-level bettors who need to spot and scale up edges fast. It's not built for everyone out there, but if you're someone out there who's looking to win money betting on sports and you want to try to exploit some inefficient numbers, you can't do that without a hyper-efficient odds screen that shows you the real market prices in seconds across 150 plus different sports books, helps you find and hit scalable edges. So don't wait. The opportunity to capitalize on the prop market is right now. If you want, you can visit betstamp.com/hammer, or you can scan the QR code up on screen to apply for a demo. Spots are limited during the season. We don't like to just distribute this to everyone because then it kind of hurts the edges for everyone as well. But if you do want to check out a demo, betstamp.com/hammer, or scan the QR code, apply for a demo. You can test it yourself and no harm done if you don't want to use it afterwards. But I use it regularly and it's very, very valuable in my process. So check it out. Seahawks and Rams in the early window. This is, we got some really good games this week. At least some really interesting ones. And this certainly is right amongst the top, as it's kind of a litmus test game for both of these teams. You're hearing a lot about the schedules that these teams have played, And now we're going to find out where these teams are at in market. The Rams took the early money this week. They've been bet out to -3 at home to Seattle. Total 48.5, juice towards the over. Austin, I'll go to you here first. Really, because I don't have a strong betting opinion on this game, but curious your thoughts here and whether you're buying this Seahawks start.
I think I do buy the start for the Seahawks, but it's tough for me to. They haven't played that many good opponents, so maybe this is a little bit of the like, hey, this is a big step up in class for them. But I do kind of lean the Rams here. I can't do it. Devontae Adams' status is a big one for me to watch. When this was 2.5, I was more interested in this number, but. The one matchup Stafford has been incredible against the blitz. The Seahawks do not blitz; they still generate pressure, so that is something to watch. But Stafford's not bad when teams aren't blitzing him either, so that's kind of the thing. But I go back with the Seahawks. I don't know if these deep throws downfield are just going to be there every single week. I like credit to them for this. Is what were we week 11 now? Like they're still doing it every week. I don't know how. Like against better competition, like the Rams are gonna take that away. And can they still succeed when you're not having those huge explosives time and time again? So that's my concern here with the Seahawks. Nothing until I get more information on Adams at the current price, but I definitely do lean a little bit towards the Rams because I wonder in this step up in competition, is Darnold going to be able to complete? I think he's completing like 68% of his throws, 10 plus yards downfield, which I don't know if that's sustainable against a good Rams defense.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one for me. I do think the Rams are better than the Seahawks, but there's something about the Seahawks defense and being able to consistently generate pressure without having to blitz that I think makes them a really tough matchup for any team. And you look at Stafford's run recently, which has been insane the last 4 weeks, bumping himself up with Drake May in the MVP market right now. He's just killing the blitz, and teams have really gone after the Rams, trying to unsettle him, and he's just winning. The Seahawks don't really have to play that way. I kind of just feel like this number is fine. Suuma, this is where I think it kind of had to settle. I'm not sure what your thoughts are here.
Yes, I'm also exactly at 3. What's interesting about this matchup is that Seattle has been bombing all defenses against base personnel. So they are coming out heavy recently with their rookie fullback or in 12, 13 personnel. And they average, I don't remember if it was only on play action, but they average double the yards per play against base personnel versus nickel and dime. The Rams don't play base personnel. They are going to match your 12 and 13 personnel with like nickel and dime almost exclusively. But the same is on the other side. So the Rams have been really terrorizing opposing defenses in 13 personnel recently. But the Seahawks, Mike McDonald, he does not match with base personnel. He also matches with nickel and dime. So the most interesting part for me in this one will be who is going to create more big plays when the opposing defense is not going to play as you want them to play. And then I think the Rams are probably going to have a small advantage on the ground because their success rate against like these nickel and dime looks has been better on the ground than what the Seahawks have been trying to do. So overall, I mean, it's tough to look at the under in this matchup when these quarterbacks might throw haymakers all game. But I would not be surprised if we saw like a slower scoring game, because I might think both defenses will try everything to take away all these play action big plays and are going to be happy if the opposing team tries to run the ball.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. That's the strongest lean I have in this game is towards the under. Talked about it with Clive on the Sunday reset. I mean, it's a little bit out of range for me, but if I had to do something here, I like that handicap as well. We'll keep it in the NFC West, and we'll go to Arizona right now, where it's the 49ers laying 3 flat at Arizona. Total in the game, 47.5 for this one. San Fran is usually, Suuma, the more depleted team, as we tend to see with Bosa, Warner, defensive line injuries, Ricky Pearsall, but he's back practicing. We don't know about the quarterback situation yet. But it's the other side in this game where I think some people might look at this line, if you're just a casual NFL fan, and be like, why are the 49ers favored by 3 here? You have to take a look at the Arizona injury report, which is a complete and utter disaster. One of the worst I've seen for the entirety of the year right now. With that said, I think that this is settled in the right spot, knowing what the Cardinals are going to probably put out there this week, Suuma. I'm not sure if you agree or not.
I still have a small lean towards the 49ers because I just think that the upside is only with the 49ers here. I mean, Brock Purdy, there are some rumors that he might play. Not sure about that. But the Cardinals are really running out of gas. Like, defensive line is injured. Mac Wilson's not going to play. Will Johnson likely not going to play. Max Melton still in concussion protocol, I think. So I like their defense recently when they were getting healthier. But I think that iteration of the defense, I think that even Mac Jones and Kyle Shanahan will probably run circles around them. And then the Niners defense has been terrible.
Yeah.
But against the Giants, they were able to stop the run, play tight coverage against these bad outside receivers. And now they're getting like Michael Wilson as the clear-cut wide receiver 1 on the outside. And then they only need to care about Trey McBride, and they can roll all their coverage towards him. And I'm just struggling to see how the Cardinals like show us the same performances as Brissett did in recent weeks. And I think this is one of those games where, in hindsight, I say, oh, yeah, the Niners, it was so obvious.
Yeah, I'm like looking at the Arizona depth chart right now. Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Xavier Weaver, Andre Baccellia, like a 28-year-old receiver that I've never heard of. I that's where I'm at in this game. It does actually feel like 49ers Giants to me in just a manner, Austin, where one team is so decimated. If they get a great performance out of this team and they upset the 49ers, I think the coaching staff deserves a lot of praise because they're just not dealing with a serious football team right now.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the Giants game from 2 weeks ago, where it was kind of like, hey, Kyle Shanahan against a poor run defense. That's probably not going to go well for the Giants, and they scored 34. So, yeah, if you're telling me this defensive line is going to be gutted like it looks like it is right now on the injury report, it's really hard for me. And then you add in, Will Johnson not playing or likely to not play. I don't know where the stops come. And then you just keep going around in circles. Like, okay, hey, now you got to play catch up to cover the +3, and they have nobody that can catch the ball. Because their wide receiver court is absolutely gutted. So yeah, I don't know if I'm interested in the Niners laying, winning by 4 on the road here, but yeah, there's not a lot of paths to success here for Arizona just because of how banged up they are. So I think the price is pretty fair.
All right, we'll switch gears to we're still in the West, but it's the AFC West this time around. Kansas City coming off of a bye week. Weird. I used to hear so much about Andy Reid off the bye, and I haven't heard a ton of it this week. I guess they must have lost last year or something. I have no idea, but maybe people are done with the Andy Reid off the bye trend. They're going on the road to take on the Broncos. Broncos looked horrendous last time we saw them on Thursday Night Football against the Las Vegas Raiders. As it stands now at FanDuel, Kansas City's -3.5, -120. Totals 44.5. Juice to the over. My thoughts, Suuma, this week were I kind of wanted Kansas City, like an opportunity to bet them. And then I saw the early line this week and I was like, it's kind of a little bit further than I would have hoped for. That said, pretty healthy Chiefs team. They get their left tackle, Josh Simmons, back. Right tackle, Jawan Taylor, got hurt in the game before the bye week. It looks like he's good to go. So no real concerns there. It's more on the Broncos side, Suuma, where we have some injury concerns on defense.
Yeah. I don't think this is recency bias when I say that Bo Nix is really, really bad. And I mean, when you look at the play calling, I mean, against the Texans, okay, I will give him that because the Texans are probably the best defense in the league right now. It was on the road, snap count, and stuff like that. But against the Raiders, you really saw how Sean Payton is masking his quarterback. He's really not calling plays he would call with a different quarterback, in my opinion. And Chiefs defense has been getting much better. They are much better against the run. They are really fitting the run much better out of two high looks. Passing defense has been gotten better. So I don't think where the explosive passing game should come from. And then no Patrick Surtain, yes, but I also think that the Chiefs might be able to attack the Broncos all over the middle in this one. So I think that the Chiefs match up really, really well. And I just could not take Bo Nix against the Chiefs here. Just that's all I will say. Austin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't. It's too much for me to lay on the road, but I had a little bit of a lean towards the under. That's been an angle. I think this could be the Chiefs' success rate the Broncos to death a little bit. Maybe the explosives don't come in there. I know they've been better and they're healthier than we've pretty much seen them all year. So there's a little bit of an unknown there. But Bo Nix just can't, like, even if they do generate an explosive, like the chances of him hitting a deep throw for a big gain is so minimal. So it might be something I add here. Later, we get some better injury report news on the Broncos, but my look here is towards the under. But I do think the Chiefs, it's one of those classic success rates. They just dink and dime their way down the field and keep the ball out of Bo Nix's hands, which I guess you don't necessarily need to do. But yeah, like the under.
I think the Broncos can create enough negative plays too, as well, in this game to potentially force the Chiefs to work a little bit harder. Tough game overall for me. Next one is, I'll still say all of them are tough games in the NFL. Let's put it that way. But I do like a play coming up here in the AFC North. We have the Ravens on the road at the Browns in the late window for a Cleveland home game. Baltimore -7.5 total at FanDuel 39.5. Juiced towards the under. I'm going to lead us off here, guys, because I'm going to use my triple hammer on the under in this game. Even with the total a little bit lower than you're accustomed to for Baltimore games, but the matchup and the weather, I think, push this towards a lower scoring script. Baltimore is fairly healthy overall. They lose Rashad Bateman to a high ankle sprain. Marlon Humphrey didn't practice yesterday with the finger injury, but what really drives this handicap for me is I just think it's going to be so difficult for either offense to move the ball consistently. Like, Cleveland has the worst passing efficiency in the league. They are bottom tier against everything. Against any type of defense, they stink. And I don't think that they're just going to suddenly find a running game on what is now like a healthy Baltimore defensive front. There's no explosive element for this Browns team. The weather doesn't hurt them necessarily because they can't pass the ball, but it just shrinks the field even more. And on the other side, you'd normally worry about Baltimore breaking the game open. It's a tough matchup, obviously, for them too. Lamar still doesn't look right. He didn't practice yesterday. He did today, but he hasn't had the same presence as a runner since he's come back from injury. And that matters against this type of defense where your legs are very crucial, especially with the amount of pressure that they generate. So ultimately, I just see this as a very low scoring game. I don't usually gravitate towards totals starting with a 3 for the Ravens, but this matchup, in my opinion, has all the ingredients for a slog. You have two strong defenses, limited passing attacks, whether that will impact both teams. So I like the under here for the triple hammer. Austin, I know you're a big totals guy as well. What are your numbers telling you here?
Yeah, I lean that way. A lot is gonna come down to the what the wind ends up. But if you tell me that, like, I have some Browns from earlier in the week at 8.5, and if you tell me that we're gonna get like a significant wind game, and I know that Dylan Gabriel can't throw, like, they can't pass with him at under center, but if you're telling me that it's gonna be like significant wind impact with his arm strength, I don't see many paths to success for Cleveland's offense. And then the other side, the Browns defense obviously is good, and to your point with Lamar not being running, he's not getting the first downs. He's not hitting explosive. So, like, you're not getting that part that, like, Lamar can throw, obviously, but like what makes him elite is that he just kills you with his legs. And it's not always the 30-yard run here and there. It's like, hey, let me scramble and get this 3rd and 7. He's not doing that as much. So I do think there's a little bit of and I think that they kind of saw that by him not practicing yesterday, give him an extra day to get healthy. So yeah, lean a little bit towards the under. Need to see a little bit more of the weather report as we get closer to game time. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so Suuma, I'm not sure if you want to add anything. Just one more thought here on the total. Typically, my worry with Cleveland's defense is they do have a tendency to give up some explosives in the passing game. They play very aggressively every now and then, but with what we're looking at for Cleveland weather right now, and listen, we're still a ways away, but we're looking at sustained winds of 20 miles an hour or more with like gusts of 35 coming off the lake there. And, you know, Cleveland has been susceptible to passes downfield. Is Lamar going to be able to push it downfield in that type of wind? I doubt it. So that's where I'm at here, Suuma.
And the Browns cannot move the ball at all. I had them last week. I think they should have won at New York. But the Jets also don't have a real defense, I would say. They were able to move the ball. But other than that, when you look at the whole body of work of Dylan Gabriel, I'm really struggling to see that this is more like a bottom three passing offense. And the Ravens defense has really come together. And I think they will absolutely sell on the run. And then it's Dylan Gabriel throwing into the wind. Even if Marlon Humphrey misses, I'm not sure that the Browns will score enough to get this over the total. Also lean under.
Yeah, obviously I'd love Marlon Humphrey to play, but this isn't the team that I'm concerned about. That's rolling out, Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman. It's not exactly the most deadly receiving core or quarterback. Sunday Night Football, we got the Eagles in prime time again. Hopefully a better game than Monday Night Football, as that was a tough watch. Probably not for Eagles fans because they got it done, but they take on the Lions. The Lions do tend to have some pretty interesting primetime games. Eagles -2.5, -114 is our number at home. Total in the game got bet down quite significantly early in the week. It's now sitting at 46.5. I haven't really done much with this Suuma this week or like had any thoughts of how to play it. I guess I lean towards the Eagles here, mostly because of where these two teams are health-wise. But I do see some paths for success for the Lions as well. What are your thoughts here?
Really no opinion on side or total. I think that the Eagles defense is really there right now.
Yeah.
These additions, I really like what they're doing. They can now get pressure from the edges, from the interior. They have, in my opinion, the best linebacking group in the game. Outside cornerback spot, second cornerback spot is still a little bit iffy, but I think that the way the Lions want to play, I think that the Eagles have someone who can really put the clamps for the most part on Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles will be better going forward at stopping the run. And then this might be a game where they get pressure with 400 Goff, and this is really the kind of matchup that he does not perform well in. Four-man rush with pressure, throwing against tight coverage. On the other side, the Lions defense is exactly what Jalen Hurts has been good against.
Yes.
Aggressive, coverage, single high. I think they have the second highest cover one rate in the game right now. So I would not be surprised if this is the, let's call it, breakout game for AJ Brown. But I think that he matches up really well with what the Lions want to play. Terran Arnold, I didn't see any update from today, but he's likely going to be out with a concussion. And the Lions are really lacking corners. So man coverage, no good cornerbacks, bad recipe against AJ Brown.
And they've allowed the highest open target rate in the entire league, have the Lions so far. AJ Brown's been getting taken out of the game by teams running a lot of zone. I don't know that the Lions will do that, to Suma's point, Austin. Stylistically, the only challenge I have with the Eagles is that they find themselves in a lot of like third and long type of situations. They do have a lot of 3 and outs so far this year. It's just not a consistent offense by any stretch of the imagination. It's a tough read, though, for me. I think you can make a strong argument for either team in this game.
Yeah, the Eagles' offense just hasn't, whether it's the run game, whether it's the passing game, like one they haven't been able to both click. And I don't know if this is necessarily the spot. I know it goes well for Jalen Hurts, but on the other side, like everybody is praising Dan Campbell for taking over play calling. I'm not saying that it wasn't like going to be better long term, but you're going up against the Commanders defense here. Let's pump the brakes.
Genius move by Dan Campbell, by the way.
Yeah.
Picked the perfect game where he wanted to become the play caller when he takes on the defense that can't stop anything, of course.
Right. So yeah, and I go back to Philly's defense was kind of out of whack to start the year. You know, the edges was the big question. They addressed that problem. They get Michael Carter. You know, if they can get Adoree Jackson off the field, that was a big help for them as well. So trending up that way, I don't know if I'm buying into the Lions offense is all of a sudden going to get so much better with Dan Campbell calling plays, because today is a different animal than what this week is a different animal than what they faced last week. So not much here. I think this is priced pretty close. I agreed with the under movement early in the week. I thought that price was a little, which means it's going to go over, but yeah.
There we go. Final game on, well, actually we got two more to talk about. We'll talk about Thursday night in a second, but we'll start Monday Night Football. It is the Cowboys off the bye week. Obviously, some off the field stuff with Marshawn Nealon's passing, which kind of plays into this game as well, but also just the amount of players that may be back for the Cowboys on defense. DeMarvion Overshown is a possibility. They traded for Quinnen Williams during the bye week. He's going to make his Cowboys debut, taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Last time we saw them, they took the Broncos down to the wire, but it was a real slog of a game. It's been Dallas money so far this week. The Cowboys -3.5, -05 at FanDuel. Total in the game is 50.5, juice towards the under. I can't believe I'm going to do this, guys. I am going to play a Dallas Cowboys under as my double hammer. And I talk about the reinforcements on the Dallas defense, but adding Quinnen Williams for this particular game is such a big upgrade to the interior. It comes at a perfect time because the Raiders O-line is in really bad shape. Colton Miller on IR. Dylan Parham left last week with an ankle injury. Jackson Powers-Johnson is for sure going to miss some time. That's potentially 3 injured starters on the O-line. And they have this run-heavy identity. Like, they need to run the ball to be able to move it because they have no wideouts. They really only have Brock Bowers. And Dallas just added one of the best interior run defenders in football. I don't think Las Vegas has anything threatening in the passing game. It's like the one team where I don't think that they will move the ball consistently against Dallas. On the other side, I'm a little bit concerned that Dak can move the ball quite a bit, but the Raiders' pass rush has been getting better and better as the years gone on. Their defense has quietly performed better than I think people would realize if you were looking at their success rate and EPA numbers. I just think this is too high, and the total can't start with a 5 in a Las Vegas game right now with the state of their current offense. So Austin, I'm playing under. Double hammer. I mean, it could be regretful, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about this game, and just like, I don't know how much of I'm not saying that like Quinnen Williams is changing my projection for the Cowboys defense by, hey, they're going to be an average defense now, but it is a pretty significant bump because like the Cowboys have been able to get a little bit of pressure, and now if you're adding like a run stopper, and if he can add anything, obviously in pass rush as well, so the matchup is huge, like you said. That the Raiders' offensive line is gutted. They don't have weapons on the outside. It's basically, can you stop Brock Bowers? So yeah, I think I do like that. The only thing can just be if the Cowboys have a path to success running the ball in this game too, which hopefully they can keep the clock running. For the under. But yeah, I lean that way. This is not a matchup for the Raiders. I do think the point of this isn't going to be the same Cowboys defense. Maybe not against good offenses, but against like bad to below average, I think they can get some wins with their front seven.
Suuma, I'll give you the last word on this game.
I could only look at the Cowboys. Also like the underlook. I mean, they could have potentially 5 new starters at like all levels. Quinnen Williams, DeMarvion Overshown, Logan Wilson, Shaven Rebel is going to make his debut. I mean, the projection for Rebel is low, but the upside is high because he might just by chance be their best cornerback going forward. So we will see on that. Malik Hooker was back at practice today, coming off IR. Donovan Wilson was back at practice today. So they might legit have 5 new starters. And if they just go, I mean, past 4 weeks, they were the, 22nd ranked defense in terms of EPA per play. If they just go from that, I think we see them in that Bengals bucket, like bottom 2-ish right now. If they go from like 31st to like 24-ish, I think this will do wonders. And the Raiders cannot score, cannot move the ball. And if the Cowboys put some scoring pressure on them, I think Geno will not hold up against that or behind that O-line against that pass rush.
All right, before we talk Thursday Night Football, breaking, Brock Purdy will start this week for the San Francisco 49ers. I saw a tick at FanDuel towards San Fran out to -3, -114. Be interesting to monitor that market. I personally think that Purdy is better than Jones, guys. But for game one back from a turf toe injury, I wonder if that's an upgrade in the first game. It's challenging with these quarterbacks coming off extended layoffs. I think Purdy's been out since week 5, Austin.
Yeah, I think that's the ceiling is what the difference is. I think like Mac Jones hasn't been able to hit the efficiency levels that Purdy was hitting. And you're going to I agree with that point that like first week back, is he going to be able to hit the ground running with, what's he going to get a couple practices in here? So yeah, I have a concern of, I don't know if it should be a full move towards like 100%. Hey, Purdy's going to hit the ground running. So I will be interested to see how far that goes.
Suuma, any thoughts quickly here?
Not really. I mean, Mac Jones has been solid. So I think if all, he gives you like a little bit more upside in terms of deep passing, I would say.
All right, let's spend a couple minutes here quickly before we wrap up on Thursday Night Football. It's an ugly game. It's the Patriots and the Jets. It's a game that we can bet, and it's been all New England money so far this week. They're out to 12.5-point favorites, -118 at FanDuel. Under got bet early in the week and is sitting 43.5. Still juiced towards the under. Guys, I cannot even think about betting the Jets. I mean, it's the coaching at like the short week. Aaron Glenn, first Thursday Night Football game. They have no passing offense against the pass funnel defense. I just kind of feel like this is going to be an ugly one in the Patriots role. I'm not saying to chase the number necessarily, Suuma, but I'd have zero interest in this offense of the Jets.
Agree. I mean, you probably need a very ugly Thursday night divisional matchup start where the Jets get like superb field position on their first drive, somehow get into the end zone, and some fluky stuff happen because if this game is played out like offense, defense, I mean, I cannot take the Jets. Sorry. I just can't, even at 13.
And the Patriots, they seem like a good front running team as well because they just continue to pass the ball. That's kind of been their MO for a while now. So I'm not even necessarily worried about big numbers with them because they continue to pass it, Austin. I'll get your thoughts here quickly.
Yeah, that's the concern. I don't know. I need like 14.5 to even think about the Jets here because they're not going to be able to run the ball. Like that's the big thing. And it's kind of what I was talking about with Bryce Young. You're going to get Justin Fields in possible 3rd and long situations. And that's just not a recipe here. Do think this Patriots team can score a lot on the Jets too. Just a matter of how much and if they're efficient in the red zone. So yeah, I think Patriots easy victory tonight. I'd be shocked. This would probably be the biggest shock if they didn't win easily. I'm not saying blow them out, but if this was down to the wire, I'd be shocked.
Well, listen, it's the NFL. We've seen some unusual Thursday night results. Obviously, the 49ers beat the Rams. Broncos Raiders as a big underdog last week was very interesting. Miami kept it tight with Buffalo earlier in the year. We've seen some Cincy beat Pittsburgh outright. So you never know. You never know on these Thursday night football games. For the audience, if you love watching the NFL games, but you find yourself on X talking about the latest injuries or big plays, you can just make your way over right here to Forward Progress. Instead, it's our Thursday night football watch along. G-Stack George, Alex Moretto. They'll be talking through the game, giving out best bets, responding to your comments in real time. It's always a good time. A lot of people that are in the chat right now are in there for Thursday night football. So that starts 8 p.m. Eastern time over here on Forward Progress. Make sure you check it out. Quick review, guys, of our hammer bets for this week so that there's no confusion. And hopefully, listen, who says we can't have another 9-0 week? We got no opposites.
Go.
Let's make it happen. I'm Tommy Totals this week. 3 totals for me on the board. Cleveland, Baltimore under 39.5. Las Vegas, Dallas under 50.5. Atlanta, Carolina under 42.5. Suuma and Austin are matching on the triple hammers. They both like the Vikings. Suuma also playing the Dolphins in Spain and the Tampa Bay Bucks plus 5.5 at Buffalo. Austin playing the Packers, Giants over, and Carolina plus 3.5 minus 110. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you for hanging with us. Just a quick programming note. Normally I say, if you're back here Sunday morning, you'll catch me on the pizza buffet. I was asked to be the godfather for a great friend's daughter. So I'm actually not going to be on for pizza buffet this upcoming Sunday. I'm going to miss a lot of the Sunday, but sometimes real life calls, and I can't just watch football every day. G-Stack George is filling in for me on the pizza buffet, 11 a.m. Here's what you're going to get. You're still going to get my numbers, my modeled number and total on every single game. George is just going to break it down for you as a whole. I'm also going to be sending him the prop looks. Everything is coming from me, but George is your host. We might have to change it to the souvlaki buffet, I think, maybe. The moussaka buffet, whatever, gyro buffet, something Greek. We're going to have to do that 100%. But G-Stack George is here on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Big thanks to Suuma, to Austin, our producer Barbara as well. We're back here tonight, Thursday Night Football. I will see you back here for the Sunday reset post Sunday Night Football. If you enjoyed the show, smash that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. Peace out, everyone, and good luck with your bets this week.